Pushing Back the Shadows, support and awareness for mental health. Hello and welcome to episode 41 of the Pushing Back the Shadows podcast. My name is Alex Davis, I'm the founder of Pushing Back the Shadows. Now, before we get into this week's episode, what I wanted to do was just to a quick shout out. Now, those of you who follow us on Twitter will have seen that what I've been asking people to do is review our Facebook page. If you haven't already, the link is in the description, so I'd really appreciate it if you were to go on and just leave us a quick review. It doesn't have to be too long, just something that you like that we do, something that you don't like, whatever it is, so that we can continue to expand what we do. But, as promised, I said anybody who does go and review will get a shout out in this week's video, but also in this week's podcast. So, I just wanted to do a very special thank you to Sally, to Richard, and to Melanie. I really did like your reviews, so thank you ever so much for that. They actually went and left some really nice comments, so if you haven't seen them, do go and have a look as well. But, on to this week's episode. So, I've been on holiday lately, and one of the things that that really struck me was something that happened while we were away. For the record, it was a very good break. It's something that I thoroughly recommend. If you do have the opportunity to go and to take a break like that, then by all means go and do it, because it really does help. It's nice and relaxing. You get the opportunity to spend some time with your family and kind of break the routine a little bit, so you're not stuck in the kind of the same old that may or may not be doing you any good. It's something that I definitely recommend. But while we were away, there were a couple of instances that kind of struck me a little bit with the understanding side of things. So for a second, just have a quick think. How well do you think people understand your mental health condition? Okay? How well do you think people understand your mental health condition? Now, it's kind of an open question because it doesn't really matter what your condition is, does it? It's one of those things that it applies right across the board. It's not just limited to depression or anxiety, it can be any mental health condition at all. Because it's all about understanding. It's all about how well people understand your condition. Now, you might think that they understand it really well. You might be quite fortunate in that regard, or you might think that they don't understand it at all. Or you may be somewhere in the middle. But sometimes people really don't seem to understand, do they? And we're going to come back to that in just a second. But the other thing I thought of a little bit was kind of the give and take type of society that we seem to live in. And by give and take, alright, I'm falling a bit more on the take side here. Okay? Because a lot of today's society is kind of, well, alright, what can you do for me? Or, I'll do it, but what am I getting in return? You know, I tend to see this in like workplaces, certain friendships, the benefit system, things like that. It's very much a case of, well, what am I going to get out of it? And there is that emphasis on take. You hear, if you're good at something, don't do it for free. Or even if you're not good at something, try not to do it for free. And you do, don't you? You hear a lot about get what you can out of whatever situation. Am I wrong? Workplaces, for example. The employer themselves will hire you based on what you can do for them. They're not interested in, what benefits you'll get out of having the job. They're not interested in the fact that you need the job to survive, be it to pay the bills or to buy food or whatever. They're not interested in that, are they? Not really. They're interested in what you, as their employee, can do for them. And you tend to find the minute you outlive your usefulness, you're laid off. And I use laid off loosely because it might be you're made redundant, or you're fired, or however it works. But you do find that you're kind of shown the door and asked to leave. They're interested in what they can get from you. And it works the other way as well. You don't go into your job thinking, well, I don't know, some people do, but a lot of people don't tend to go into the job thinking, do you know what, I'm going to see what I can do for you. I want to do the absolute best that I can do, be the best that I can be, so on and so forth. And do you know what, if you give me some kind of bonus, or if you pay me, that's just an added benefit, that's fine, that's cool. We don't tend to do that, do we? We go in to do a job. And usually, if we go above and beyond that job, it's so that we can get some kind of benefit or some kind of bonus, isn't it? Again, am I wrong? A lot of us do that, whether we like to admit it or not. But so, a lot of the time it is very much a take society, isn't it? There isn't that much give in there. And I know what you're thinking, what's this got to do with mental health? Because this is me, I always manage to start on something that seems completely unrelated. But what if I told you that as mental health sufferers, we're very good at the taking? Yep, that's right, I said it. We, as mental health sufferers, are very good at the taking. It does sound selfish, but hear me out on this one. What is the one thing that we tend to do as mental health sufferers? We want people to understand. We want people to empathise. We want other people to give to us what we're after. Be it the understanding, be it the empathy, be it sympathy or something else. We want other people to give that to us. But how good are we at giving? Well, have a look, because it may surprise you. Because as I was thinking, this kind of did surprise me somewhat as well. But we'll have a look and see what you think. You're listening to Pushing Back the Shadows. So, alright, maybe this concept of giving doesn't quite make sense, because you're thinking, well, I've got a mental illness. What do I have to give? Because we do, don't we? We underestimate ourselves all the time. But I'm not talking about, the kind of give and take that you have in the workplace, or the kind of give and take you have in, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I'm talking about something a little bit different. And it is one of those scary words. Understanding. Yep, That's it. Understanding. That is what we have to give. And that's not have to as in must, that is have to as in actually have to give. You see, not everybody understands, do they? Not everybody understands. That's kind of a fact of life. Not everybody will understand what you are going through. And that's not just tied down to mental health, that's tied down to the whole spectrum of life. Not everybody will understand your circumstances. And we kind of sit here and we think, well, I've explained it, they should understand. Or there's that many resources, they should understand. Or even, there are people advocating for this, people who explain it, people should understand. And it's something that we can get quite frustrated with and almost quite irate about, can't we? Because we think and we feel that people should understand. And yet, we do tend to feel almost, like we're being treated unjustly if somebody doesn't understand. But this is where that little bit of give comes in. How many times do we find that we are expecting other people, to make exceptions or make allowances? Give us that little bit of wiggle room. I'll give you an example. Cheryl and I have kind of a mutual understanding that if I am on a bad day, my mood is going to be a little bit more unpredictable. Some of my reactions aren't quite going to be what they normally would be. Like, for example, I'll be a little more irritable, or I will be kind of shorter-tempered or less inclined to take things as a joke, that sort of thing. But we have this understanding that if it is a little out of character for me, which, I hate to say it, but if I'm irritable and not taking things as a joke, then, yeah, it's out of character. And it's one of those things that we know, if it happens, then it happens. It's not against her or against the kids. It's not something that I'm doing deliberately. I'm not deliberately being horrible. It is just a part of my mental health condition. So there is that understanding that we've established, that she can sit there and go, alright, do you know what, that's not like him, but I know where that's coming from. But we're in a relationship, we're partners. That is to be expected to a certain extent. But what about other people? The friends that you don't see often, your family members. What about them? Because what we tend to find is they don't understand quite as well, do they? There are things that we'll do, things that we'll say, and it's like, oh, for goodness sake, don't overreact. Or, oh, come on, just snap out of it a little bit. And it doesn't work that way. And that then kind of gets our backs up, because we're saying, well, you should know. You should understand this. You should know what's going on. And they don't always. And that is where the give comes in. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not on about, you can explain it to them. You can try and educate them. You can give them a little bit of an insight into what it's like. Because, do you know what? Yes, that's good, but no, that's not what I'm referring to. What I'm saying is you can give them a little bit of understanding. Instead of getting affronted and hurt and, they don't understand, they just don't care, they're doing it deliberately, or however you would react. Take a moment, practice the pause, like we've talked about in, I believe it was episode 5, and think, well, okay, this is a difficult mental health condition. This is something that I don't necessarily understand fully. Is it right for me to expect them to understand it completely as well? And then take it a step further. Think, well, do you know what? They try to understand. They try. They are trying to understand. And, okay, they've got it wrong. But we get it wrong. Everybody gets it wrong. But they're trying. And look at it that way. And give them that little bit of understanding. Where you say, alright, do you know what? Yeah, you've got it wrong. But you're trying to understand. So, I appreciate that. And in a sense, what you're doing is you're cutting them some slack. You're not throwing up your walls to protect yourself and to say, yeah, do you know what? No, I'm not gonna talk about this. I'm not going to talk to you. You've upset me. You've affronted me. We're not doing that. We're giving them that little bit of, as I say, for want of a better word, the benefit of the doubt. You're kind of thinking, well, okay, they don't fully understand what I'm going through. Heck, I don't even know what I'm going through fully. But they're trying. Yeah, they've got it wrong, but they're trying. And this goes hand in hand with a P word. Patience. Because we expect everybody else to be patient with us. We expect them to have that kind of understanding, that empathy, and not necessarily to make exceptions, but we do want them to kind of do something along those lines, you know, to sit there and go, alright, that behaviour's a bit kind of out of whack, out of character, but actually, do you know what, I know why. That's what we want, isn't it? But it works both ways. It's a matter of give and take. It's not our job to just keep taking the taking the understanding from other people, and just taking that, yes, with the ill party, yes, with one struggling, but flip it on its head. They're struggling too. They're struggling to understand what we're going through. And by giving them that little bit of compassion, understanding, we can help to get them to that place. It's important that we give as well as take. So that is all from me for today. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you guys will tune in next week. Just a quick shout out to our patrons over at Patreon, which you can find all the information for in the description as well. Just go to www.patreon.com/AlexDaviesPBTS. But thank you to our patrons, Samuel, Louise, Luce, Samantha, Cheryl, Yisun, Shirley, Tamara, and Alex. We appreciate everything that you do, and all the contributions that you make. So thank you ever so much for that. But that's all from me for today. I shall catch you next time for episode 42 of the Pushing Back the Shadows podcast. You guys take care, you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next week. You've been listening to Pushing Back the Shadows. To find out more, head over to pushingbacktheshadows.com and hit subscribe to get all of our latest updates straight to your inbox. Alternatively, connect with us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/AlexDavisPBTS, or you can visit us on Twitter at AlexDavisPBTS. Enable Pushing Back the Shadows to continue supporting people in the mental health community, their friends and their family. By pledging just $1 a month, you could help us to continue supporting people with depression, with anxiety, with bipolar and other mental illnesses. You can also unlock exclusive rewards, behind the scenes, sneak previews of upcoming posts and much, much more. So head over to www.patreon.com/AlexDavisPBTS to find out more.